way, spit on my Lord in every way, yet I'm still welcome in the arms of the King.
Good stuff. Hey, let's do this. So if you were going to summarize the goal of preaching, what is the pastor supposed to be doing up there? What are you doing up there? Which I think sometimes the question is, the pastor, like, you know what you're supposed to be doing up there? I'm not sure you understand why you're there. What would you say that is?
I'm just going to give you our definition that we use, because I wholeheartedly follow it. So preaching is the authoritative public proclamation of the faith, normed and guided by the scriptures, centered in the gospel of Jesus Christ for forgiveness, life, and salvation for the benefit of the hearer in relation to God and to others.
Yeah.
So for me, there's 4 threads that will always be present. One's going to be textual exposition. There's going to be a deepening of one's understanding of and experience of the Word. There's going to be theological confession, and that is offering and clarifying of the teachings of the faith, defending and confessing them. There's going to be evangelical proclamation. It'll be centered in Christ, crucified and risen for forgiveness, life, and salvation. And then there will be something about the lives of the hearers, either individually in relationship to God and others, corporately. So those 4 things. Of those 4, I think we are probably most deficient in theological confession. I'd say that's the one I don't think we're doing anymore,
Not
like we used to.
doing it well or avoiding it?
I think we've
Who is we? Just
we
preachers
as
in general?
You,
Lutheran,
actually.
in
It's
Lutheran
by we means Bob.
preaching. Yeah, sorry, I'm sorry.
In Bob's sermon.
Yeah, in Bob's sermon.
We're talking. This is
What
all
I
about.
have noticed,
Aggressively
yes.
saying.
Well, no, I mean,
guy.
I think when you think about it, you read Walther's sermons. He wrote Law and Gospel. His sermons are not law and gospel. His sermons are doctrinal sermons. They have a main teaching of the faith.
Luther, too, yeah.
And he lays out points of that teaching, right? And so, so people learned, the whole counsel of God. They learned that through the sermons that went throughout the year. And so you'd have a sermon on, the new creation. You'd have a sermon on prayer. You'd have a sermon on raising children in the faith. These are doctrinal topics, at least according to Melanchthon in the Confessions, when he lists these as what we preach about. So this is, but the shortening of the sermon to 12
Absolutely.
minutes. And the way in which the sermon kind of becomes this confession absolution a second time has really focused on, if you think theological confession, the main teaching is justification. That's the main teaching that is present in every one of our sermons. And we've lost sight of the other teachings. Now, the danger of that is we're living in a pluralistic society, which means people pick and choose from various sources to make their own religion. And so if the problem we're preaching Christ crucified, great, justification, great, but we're preaching to people who will take that and join it to karma. Take that and join it to
That's a good
reincarnation
point.
and say, I'm a Christian. Well, why do you think you're a Christian? You've got like this dream catcher above your bed. Why is it? Well, I mean, I believe that Jesus died for me and saved me.
What's wrong with dream catchers?
Well, you have to catch one in your dreams and find out. Yeah. So
That's really
but
good.
Right, so,
Good.
but if we as preachers cover the whole counsel of God over time, then all of a sudden they're going to say, you know what? Christians have a different practice of prayer.
Yeah.
Christians don't believe
Excellent.
in karma or reincarnation. They believe in a new creation. And so, and then all of a sudden, then they begin to say, you know what? This Christianity thing is all of a piece.
Yeah.
It's not just my weekly moment to hear that Jesus died for me. It's actually a time to grow in the faith and understanding. Yeah, so that's the thing. That's it. I think we're kind of.
You're spot on. I wonder if that's also because we like that narrative, we're doing. I think maybe the style we're using. We're scared of lecturing, and we think that's the only way you're going to teach doctrine.
Right.
So you're
It's
basically
not,
and then we're emotional. the best emotional story is not going to be predestination. It really is justification. And so that's why easy win-win can make somebody cry with this. And we're Lutherans, and that's all that matters. And I think you're right. We've confused proclamation with confession absolution.
Well, unfortunately,
Man, this is huge.
unfortunately, the Faraday preaching, theology is for proclamation. He teaches that idea of the performative force of proclamation by contrasting it with teaching, which gives you this idea that the sermon doesn't teach, it proclaims. That's all. Well, no, it's always been teaching and proclamation.
Sure, yeah, of course.
I mean, that's Walther thesis 2, I think it is, that only is an Orthodox preacher who preaches the whole counsel of God and correctly distinguishes between law and gospel. So it's a both and. It's not an
Which you can
either or.
simultaneously do.
Right.
You can actually tell a story that teaches predestination.
Yes.
But maybe what you're saying is the pastor should begin by saying this week, and you do that at least when I took a class with you, my goal is that they learn this.
Yes.
It's still going to be justification. It's still going to be death and resurrection of Jesus, center.
It's going to be there because the evangelical proclamation is always a part of the sermon.
Right.
But there's a teaching.
Yeah.
And then you think about that, and then why do we need to know about the new creation?
Yep.
How does that, because I mean, some of these conversations and the marginalized voices we're hearing in the culture, they are actually pushing us to rediscover teachings that we've always had, right? That they've just kind of fallen into the background. And so it's an opportunity to come forward and say, I'm preaching about this because the world's talking about it, but you know what? We've already talked about this. God's talked about it, and here's what he's saying.
I needed to hear that. That's good. I wonder if Bible studies affected that. Well, we have Bible study. That's where we're doing that deep stuff.
Right.
And now the sermon's 10 minutes.
And how many of your people come to Bible study?
Exactly. They're not all going to be.
Right.
I think the pulpit, if there's something important to be said, it needs to be there on Sunday in the pulpit. Bible study is not where you say the most important things.
I challenge the students to do this as an exercise, after they become pastors. I doubt if they do. But I challenge them to take their sermons for a year and take, we call it the focus statement, but, the teaching question you ask. Identify the teachings that you have touched on for a whole year, and then ask yourself, if somebody came to church every Sunday, and this is the only contact they have with Christianity, because they're not reading their Bible at home, they're not teaching the catechism for their children, what would they believe? What kind of Christians would they be?
Yep.